All right, folks, it is Monday, April 28th, 2025. And of course, a lot of things are going on in the world. And we'll be talking about those here on World Edition, seeing who else shows up and what kind of conversations they've got as well. We do know that Canadians are heading to the polls in the election that apparently has been upturned by Trump. So definitely polls are open in Canada after Trump and tariffs dominate the election campaign. So that's something that people are talking about that's coming out of the Canadian part of the world. So Trump threats boosted Canada's carney and hurt conservatives as the country apparently is voting for its new leader. So we'll see how this all plays out in Canadian politics and what goes on in that regards. A power outage has caused blackouts in Spain and Portugal. So that might be what's going on with Nick and everything. But it looks like huge power cuts caused chaos in Spain and Portugal as Madrid mayor warns people to stay put. So definitely that is something going on as there was a massive power outage in that part of Europe. And we'll see what folks have to say about that. Trump promised a market boom 100 days in. Stocks have only seen damage. It's something that is being reported as well. So we'll see what goes on in that space. And over 100 migrants in the U.S. were illegally arrested in a Colorado nightclub. That's being reported as well. So looks like that was an activity that was going on there in Colorado. And we'll see what the folks have to say about that particular news item as also. But like I said, a lot's going on in the world, and we're glad to be telling you about these various stories that are taking place and all along those lines. So, like I said, it is definitely causing chaos, that huge power outage in Spain and Portugal. And like I said, it disabled their capitals and all along those lines. And in the Yemen, dozens of African migrants were killed in a U.S. strike, is what the Houthis are saying. So, U.S. military says its air campaign has hit more than 800 targets in Yemen. And Yemen Houthi rebels say 68 are dead in the U.S. airstrike on the prison. And U.S. military says it will limit disclosing details on the strike in Yemen. And Palestinian envoy tells UN court Israel is killing Gaza civilians, and Israel boycotts hearing at the UN's top court on banning of aid agency for Palestinians. So, an International Court of Justice holds hearings on Israel's aid obligation to Palestinians. So, we'll see where this goes and whether there's any aid that is given to those folks as well. And the conclave to choose the new pope will start on May 7th, the Vatican is saying. So definitely one people are saying one campaign to a successful campaign for pope is act like you're not campaigning. So definitely the conclave to select Pope Francis' successor will begin on May 7th. So that'll be in just a little over a week. So the Vatican closes the Sistine Chapel to the public and prepares for a papal conclave. Putin declares ceasefire in Ukraine as Trump suggests Zelensky may cede Crimea. So Russia declares a 72-hour ceasefire in Ukraine for next week to mark Victory Day in World War II. So Putin has announced a May 8th through the 10th ceasefire. Ukraine wants truce now. So Putin has declared a temporary truce during Victory Day anniversary celebration. So that's something that's coming out in the news as well. And Trump claims the mantle of FDR's first 100 days, but there are differences that are stark. So the latest on Trump's presidency is he's nearing that 100 days in office. So definitely some polls are showing criticism of his terrorist focus. So we'll see what folks have to say about that as well. And a girl who was 5 was among the victims of the Vancouver car attack. Suspect named and charged, police say. 11 killed as the vehicle plows into a Filipino street festival in Vancouver. So it looks like a Vancouver man has been charged with 8 counts of murder in the Lapu Lapu Day festival tragedy. And definitely that is something going on in Canada. And India and Pakistan exchange small arms fire. China urges restraint. So Kashmir attack updates. Indian forces blow up homes after Palangam attack. So first targeted firing in the Poonch sector as Pak violates ceasefire again. So Pakistan violates ceasefire for the 4th day. Indian troops give effective and swift response. An Iranian MP accuses Israel of involvement in port blast as fires continue to smolder A massive explosion at an Iranian port, possibly linked to missile fuel, kills 25 and injures some 800. So, an Iran port explosion caused by negligence, says the interior minister in that area. And Putin orders Russian emergency planes to Iran after the blast at the port of Bandar Abbas. And Putin thanks North Korea for help in Kursk as Germany criticizes U.S. plane for Ukrainian aid and things along those lines. So Russia's Putin thanks Kim for North Korea troops fighting in Kursk, and North Korea confirms troop deployment in Russia as Putin hails them as heroes. So we'll see how this all plays out as well. And the latest standoff in the South China Sea. China and Philippines make rival claims in disputed South China Sea. Beijing seizes the tiny sandbank in South China Sea, and China and Philippines unfurl competing flags on disputed South China Sea sandbar, which is, of course, reviving tensions in that area and along those lines. And a best-selling German novelist was found killed on a Hamburg houseboat. So police launched murder investigation after the best-selling novelist Alexandra Fallick was found shot dead on her houseboat. So this was a crime novelist who was murdered on her own houseboat and all along those lines. Trump meets Zelensky during the visit to Pope Francis's funeral. So that is something that folks are talking about. And Jake Sullivan is saying Trump-Zelensky meeting was the first sliver of hope I've had in a while. So it looks like coincidence and diplomacy drove a consequential meeting between Trump and Zelensky inside St. Peter's. So President met with Zelensky, President Trump that is, and says Putin might not be serious about peace. And Israel airstrike hits Beirut suburb despite ceasefire with Hezbollah. So Israeli military strike near Beirut, saying Hezbollah was the target, and Israel is definitely looking at that as well. So a lot of things are going on in that space. And Pope Francis' tomb was open to the public in St. Mary Major Basilica. So images of Pope Francis' tomb in St. Maria Maggiore Church have been released, and cardinals visit the tomb of Pope Francis and pray the second Vespers. So definitely looks like Pope Francis, who sought a more pastoral church, was laid to rest in a majestic ceremony. And France is no place for racism and hate, says Macron, after the murder of Muslims in a mosque. So suspect in a fatal French mosque attack arrested in Italy. French Muslims decry religious hatred as mosque stabbing suspect has been arrested. So definitely that is something going on as well. And tensions soar as India weighs how to hit Pakistan. So like I said, there's a lot of tension points around the world. Ukraine's pinning war hopes on the expanded drone program. So Ukraine is building a 9-mile wide wall of drones, and Viaray founder compares accuracy of Ukraine and Russian fiber optic drones. So the use of drones expands gray and combat zones on the front line. So that's something that people are talking about as well. And tourists, tailors, and the Holy Spirit descend on Vatican City. So Trump gets called out apparently in front of millions at the Pope's funeral by some of the, I think there was a cardinal and some others that called him out as well. So Vatican is releasing those pictures, like I said, of Pope Francis's tomb as it's opened or was open for public viewing. And for nearly 60 days, Israel has blocked food from Gaza. Palestinians are struggling to get food and everything. And WFP head says as the U.S. cuts aid and Israel blocks help to Gaza, that food is not political. So Israel inflicts man-made starvation on Gaza as attacks kill, and the World Food Program has run out of food in Gaza. And definitely we'll see what goes on in terms of Trump and his deal. Trump, the self-professed deal maker, is pressing difficult negotiations. So we'll see what goes on in that space, both in Ukraine and with the various countries with the tariffs. And 50 years after the fall of Saigon, Vietnam tweaks the story of its victory. So Chinese, Lao, Cambodian troops join grand rehearsal for reunification parade in Ho Chi Minh City. So symbols of Ho Chi Minh City beneath the wings of steel, Vietnamese diplomacy, a pivotal force in peace building and turning the past into opportunities. And prophetic letter written by Titanic survivor sells for nearly $400,000 at an auction. So Titanic survivor's letter written aboard the ship sells for nearly $400,000. So that is definitely something that was in there in that particular auction space. And China is teaching Trump some tough lessons on trade. That's what folks are saying in the Hill. And with China and the U.S. at intense economic odds, it looks like nations are being forced to make their choices to which way they want to go. So that's definitely something that is being talked about. And Francis Bartella confirms a 2027 presidential bid if Le Pen is barred. So Bartella, France's national rally president, is set to run in 2027 if Le Pen cannot. And Jordan Bardella confirms far-right run for the French president if Le Pen is banned. So we'll see what goes on in that space and what other candidates they might be going up against as well. And Russia says a suspected Ukrainian agent was arrested in a Moscow car bomb attack. So Russia detained suspect in car bomb attack that killed the general. Killed a general. Russian general killed in car blast near Moscow as Putin meets U.S. envoy on Ukraine. So that's just some of the things that are taking place around the world. We'll see what's happening in the United States as well. Because like I said, there's a number of things that are taking place in the world and around the world, and we're glad to be sharing those with you here on Pod TV. Trump needs unity among Republicans to pass his budget bill. Can he get it? Democrats plan to capitalize as GOP begins outlining spending cuts. Mike Johnson's tight mega bill timeline is on a collision course with reality. So definitely they're saying that there are 5 policy issues Republicans are clashing over in a massive bill for Trump's agenda. So we'll see how that goes as well. And one dead as Florida authorities declare a mass casualty in a boat crash near Clearwater. One person died and several others are injured after a boat shattered the whole back of a ferry and fled the scene in Florida. So one dead and multiple injuries reported following the boat hit and run near Memorial Causeway Bridge. One dead and multiple injured after that hit and run boat crash in Florida. And it looks like Trump thinks Ukraine Zelensky is ready to concede Crimea to Russia. Trump took the U.S. economy to the brink of crisis in just 100 days, is what CNN is saying. But we'll see about this whole notion of giving up Crimea. And we'll also see if Sasha comes in, if he's got some thoughts about that as well. And Trump's approval at 100 days is lower than any president in at least 7 decades. So Trump's polls declined near 100-day mark, raising tax plan stakes. So Donald Trump demanded investigation into the negative approval rating polls. So I guess he wants the polls to be investigated to see why he is not doing as well as he thinks he should be doing. And no recent Trump call, says China, despite U.S. president's claims. So Trump says China tariffs will come down substantially, hinting at a potential U-turn. And China is calling BS on Trump's story about a phone call from Xi. And definitely there is even these conflicting statements coming from the different world leaders. And definitely there are different countries that are paying attention to the Canadian election, including China, India, and the UK, that all have different relationships with Canada. We'll see how that plays out as well and which side they are hoping to win and whether that side wins or not. Representative Sri Sanidar draws a Democratic primary challenge as the left seeks to flex its muscle in Michigan. So Democratic fight over party's future arrives in a Michigan congressional race. So the squad could have a new member in 2026. So Justice Democrats have launched a new primary challenge. And Miami Beach police make second arrest in the theft of the Homeland Security Secretary's purse. So the second suspect was arrested in the theft of DHS Chief Kristi Noem's purse. So that's something that people are talking about as well. And tornado outbreak likely in the upper Midwest as millions are told to prepare for dangerous storms on Monday. So severe thunderstorms are to rumble from Minnesota to Texas. So put together that plan, potentially preparing for potentially severe weather if you live in that storm path. And 3 children who are U.S. citizens, including one with cancer, deported with their mothers, lawyers, and advocacy groups say. So 2 U.S. Citizen children were deported to Honduras with their mother and lawyers say in that space. So like I said, there's a lot going on in the world. We'll see who's joining me and all in that space. And we'll see if we can get a conversation going about a number of these things taking place. I see I've got Jacoby with me. How you doing, Jacoby? And how are things going in your neck of the woods and everything like that? I understand the hurricanes are up, and that's a good thing.
I mean, things okay. I'm getting over a cold. So outside of that, yeah, things are okay.
Well, your buddy Trump is at it again. I saw that recently he just came up with another executive order. This time he wants Columbus Day to only be Columbus Day because I think that in the past it has also been Indigenous Day. So guess he's telling the native population, don't worry about that. Columbus discovered America, and therefore we're only going to celebrate Columbus Day. So I think that's what his latest executive order was that it was only going to be a celebration of Columbus Day.
Yeah, I mean, he is uh he's trying to pander to his crowd.
Right.
That's all he's doing. He doesn't care about anything else. He's just trying to pander to his crowd.
Yeah, he's definitely doing that. Speaking of pandering to his crowd, I saw that there was one in Colorado, and I know that even here in North Carolina, there are some popular Latin nightclubs and things like that. So, is the Latin community going to have to start worrying because is ICE not just going to be raiding their churches and schools, but also raiding their places of enjoyment? Because I did see that they detained 200, including military members, and a quote unquote unlicensed nightclub in Colorado. And I know we've got some nightclubs that are Spanish oriented right here in North Carolina and everything like that. So they're going to have to worry that when they go out to the nightclub that ICE might be rolling in on them.
If you're brown, you have to worry in this country due to this administration. That's just the way it is at this moment. He's deputizing. He's trying to partner with states right now. Florida is a big one that he's partnered with, but he's trying to deputize different, state and local officials to be federal ICE agents. That happened in Florida. I think they said they arrested 200 and some odd people. But again, you don't. He is trying to. This is authoritarian. That's all it is. He's being the judge, jury, and executioner. He's arresting people and sending them to prison in a foreign country. So it's ridiculous what they're doing. They're doing it without due process. You can't find out if somebody's undocumented or not. You can't find out if somebody has committed a crime or not. They're just grabbing brown people and sending them out. That's what they're doing. So yes, yeah, there are going to be tons of people who are, because the problem with deputizing the state and local officials to do ICE work in these cities where undocumented individuals are, and especially where they're working, if a crime is committed, who are they going to go to now?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a big issue and everything. And I also see that, believe it or not, we've already got maybe our first candidate for the Democrats and everything, because apparently J.B. Pritzker, and I believe he was a candidate, or at least on the list, in the vice presidential list and everything like that, employing Democrats to fight Trump as the potential 2028 candidate. So he delivered a speech in New Hampshire, driving presidential campaign buzz. So we might have some people, because he even thundered against do nothing Democrats as he stoked his 2028 talk. So I know there's been talk about Gavin, but I guess JB is going to be in the list as well.
I mean, Pritzker's going to be there, yeah. But the thing is, it's way too early for anybody to say, well, this is going to be who it is for the Democrat Party. You don't know. I mean, nobody knows at this moment. It's still extremely early in the process. The base itself is rallying around AOC and Bernie Sanders, because AOC seems to be grabbing the Bernie Sanders mantle, and there are a lot in the base that wanted Bernie Sanders in the first place. So she's grabbing that mantle, and that's a good thing. I mean, it's rallying the base. Plus, you have other individuals like Pritzker in New Hampshire, but it's just getting the base motivated. Yep. And that is the big thing right now. And whenever the actual candidates start to come about, that's not going to happen until probably late next year, if not, mid to late next year. because right now the base is still trying to figure out what it wants and ways to fight back against Trump. AOC has done a good job. Pete Buttigieg has done he always does a phenomenal job. But it's still a ways off. So Pritzker's there. I don't think he's going to be there in the long run.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anything. Well, there's another issue that I know is of concern to you and everything along those lines. But apparently, the Supreme Court is going to hear a school disability discrimination case, and some people are saying that this could gut the ADA and Rehabilitation Act that's been helping a number of folks that are disabled, and they're saying disabled children's fight for fair treatment could help others. Or according to one article in Scottish blog, or actually it was in USA Today, they're saying it could raise the bar for discrimination claims. So definitely, I guess they're going to be trying to put some standards out there for special education discrimination suits and everything like that. So it looks like this could be another attempt to muddy the waters of rights and all along those lines. So what's your take on that, Jacoby?
I mean, it's everything they are doing is taking away basic civil rights that we had been accustomed to and happy with. Yes, this is going to harm special needs individuals and special needs kids. The Department of Education being destroyed and dismantled harms special needs and special needs kids and individuals. That whole community is going to suffer because of what they're doing. Same thing, HBCUs are going to suffer. He just signed an order that removed the outreach that Biden had put into place in 2021 in terms of trying to reach for tech companies to reach inside HBCUs, give them better opportunities and stuff. He just pulled that and said that he's going to create a council to look into HBCUs and help their funding and throw that up under the Department of Education. The Department of Education is being dismantled, but you're going to get the funding from Department of Education and try and look at funding for independent or outside sponsors and stuff. No, you're basically trying to make it okay to pull funding from HBCUs so people can walk around and say, well, he really increased. No, he didn't. He just took away funding for these HBCUs that are going to now crash. And that's going to harm a lot of people in the minority community. And like I said, he doesn't care about anything other than just, the money that he's going to make. He doesn't care about these communities that voted for him, the Hispanic communities. He's going after them in mass deportations. He didn't care about the African-American communities. He's taking away the funding. He doesn't care about the special needs community. He's taking away the funding and the actual programs. He doesn't care about tourists. Tourism is down 12% since he took office. It's just, he doesn't care. It's white nationalism.
Speaking of not caring, apparently he doesn't care about Ukraine as well. And I'm glad that Sasha has joined us because apparently he's ready to concede. And I know you and Jonathan have been talking about it on your show that's on Tuesday and Fridays, but apparently he's ready to concede Crimea. What is your take on this? Because he's basically saying that he's ready, that Ukraine should give up Crimea and it lead to a peace and everything like that. And that's something that he said, I guess, when he was meeting with Zelensky at the Pope's funeral. But what is your take on this notion of Ukraine giving up Crimea?
Well, I think it's up to Ukraine to decide whether to give up the Crimea or maybe all Ukraine or part of Ukraine or two-thirds of Ukraine. It's not up to Trump. Trump can give up Alaska, maybe Brighton Beach, or maybe some other areas of the United States. That's in his power, although it has to be approved by Congress, I would guess. So that's no effect of whatever Trump's saying. And also, I think Trump found his match in Zelensky. I think he realizes that Zelensky is not a pushover, and he fights back. And I think Trump is very comprehensive about his meetings with Zelensky, and he's really mindful of what he says and how he says. And I think he now, even his stubbornness would not allow him to deny that Putin is getting on his nerves. The Putin is now an obstacle to a peace in Ukraine. the Putin is not agreeing to ceasefire or anything without conditions, and he wants this and that. So I think Trump is, after already what 5 months since he was elected, it's in a couple of days will be 100 days in the office, and I'm wondering what Trump is going to show for his 100 days in office with all his achievements. And so far, they're very, very sketchy and if not catastrophic ones, I would say, except that the border issue, where you may argue that he succeeded, but all other international, domestic, all other issues, it's a complete catastrophe, is his tariffs, and look, he's turning. You see, okay, the tariff is a funny thing. Okay, so you put tariffs, and then in next half an hour you will cancel these tariffs, or the next hour, or the next month, or the next 3 months. But you derail stature of United States, its international position. You're creating, instead of France, like with Canada, you're creating enemies. Canada is now enemy of United States. It doesn't matter what's going to happen with tariffs. It just doesn't matter at all. What Canada is realizing, that US cannot be trusted, that this is not a friend, that it's turning and becoming its enemy, and all his calls about Canada becoming 51st state. What kind of nonsense is that, and how did he campaign on the issue of Canada becoming 51st state? I don't recall that. So that's not what he promised to American people, and now he's following through on that. No, it was not part of this. It's tariffs of 145%. It was not part of his campaign. So he is lying to his voters in what he's doing in comparison to what he campaigned for. In my opinion, this is a fiasco. This 100 days, and it will haunt him for the rest of his presidency.
Speaking of fiascos and everything, I did see that today was a Canadian election and everything like that. So how is that going? What are you hearing? Is Carney going to be the winner? What is taking place in that whole situation?
Yeah, most likely Carney will win this election. I'm not going to vote for him, that's for sure, but he will win, most likely.
So he's going to win and everything like that, and then we'll see where that goes and all along those lines. What is your take on this notion of Putin, I guess, is saying that there will be a truce, I guess, next week as part of the Victory Day celebration? And will that truce last, or is that just some more of a Putin show?
To tell you the truth, I haven't seen any materials about that. So Putin, even this truth that he was announcing before, they were not there really. The fighting was continued, and fighting is continuing now, and I don't see any reason why it would stop anytime soon, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's probably no stopping there and everything along those lines. So definitely that'll be interesting to see what goes on in that space. I guess we're going to say, and maybe you, Angie, we have different ideas, but where would you rank because I know I guess he was trying to compare himself to some degrees to Trump, who I think did some stuff around, not so much Trump, but around FDR. I think also was in that tariff space and everything like that. But since 100 days is coming on us, I think it's coming on us this week. Where would you put Trump in the annals of history in his second term?
No, his record speaks for itself. Where we want to put him is probably. I always was of the opinion that he's the worst president ever in the United States, and my opinion has not changed.
I mean, can we just be honest and just say it and be blunt about it? He's a dumpster fire, a complete dumpster fire. Since he's been in office, the stock market has dropped, like it has fallen. So people have lost their retirements. The dollar value has fallen. So, your investments are trash. Um, and the job market, unemployment slowly creeping up, and the trade war, asinine at best. And so now we're going to lose. They're warning of low stock because right now they've sold off pretty much the stuff that they had in inventory in a lot of places. Prices are going up. As much as he wanted to rant and rave, oh well, egg prices come down, dude. They're still about $6, some odd dollars for eggs, between $6 and $4. I mean, that's still up. I forget what the percentage up it is from last year. It's still up from the beginning of this year. Grocery prices are still high. Gas is not down to $1, whatever he lied about. No, the lowest gas goes down to maybe $1.25, $2.25, something like that. But overall, it's averaging roughly around $3 some odd dollars. So gas is still up, everything's still up, and it's steadily going up because this man doesn't know what he's doing. And we're less safe. We have a measles outbreak that's going into a pandemic. We already had 2 children who died from measles, which is the most in decades. And then on top of that, this is the most cases we've had in decades, especially in the first few months. I think under Obama, as a matter of fact, because there was a measles outbreak, but that was over a full year, and there was about 1,200 cases. But right now we're sitting at close to 600-700 cases, and we're in the first couple of months of the year, so we're going to break that easy. The most cases that we've had in the first couple of years were up under him. The first go round, we just had a bombing in Yemen. I don't know if you talked about that, Mark, where it was we bombed a migrant camp. It was a detention center, if I remember, a migrant detention camp. Killed 68 people. So we're making enemies even with the individuals that we're trying to make deals with. It's a dumpster fire. That's what this administration is. Complete dumpster fire.
Sounds like a complete dumpster fire and everything like that. Hey, Sasha, what's your take? I know you follow to some degree what goes on with China as well, but are we going to see China try to take over Taiwan? And are we going to see in that same regards them maybe even try to have a confrontation with the Philippines? Because I did see that there was some stuff going on with the Philippines as well. So I think there was like a small island that's off of the coast and everything like that. So are we going to see China trying to take over some lands as well? And how will you think Trump will deal with these if that should happen?
China will move against Taiwan only when it will be confident that the U.S. is out of picture and has no means, no desire to defend Taiwan. That may happen anytime soon. So China is essentially just waiting until Taiwan will fall into its place, and they will not start any aggression anytime soon. But about Philippines, I don't know if under Trump, the United States is in a position to continue with its worldwide expansion and military bases or so on. I think Trump is he's trying to bring America back to Western hemispheres and just to be there, and it's very different politics from his predecessors, and that's what he's trying to do, in my opinion. Another thing is that, look, that's his last cadence as a president, and then he doesn't have to be reelected, and he understands that he can do almost anything what he wants to do, and that's what he's doing. And at least until midterm elections, there's nothing can be done about it, whether good or bad. So I think Democratic Party is biding its time, has to rebuild itself and get ready for the midterm elections. realistically they can do now.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You know, that 50 years ago was a major event, and apparently they're having some celebrations around that and everything. And some people say that was the one of the several times or a few times that the U.S. lost and everything. But I guess they're trying to reimagine or trying to like reinterpret what was going on. But 50 years ago was the fall of Saigon and everything like that, which would have been the Vietnam War. And I was seeing some articles where they are even Vietnam is tweaking its story of its victories and is, I guess, trying to play a pivotal role in the peace building. So turning the past into opportunity. So I just wondering, what is your thoughts, both of you, on China, Laos, and Cambodian troops joining the grand rehearsal for a reunification parade in Ho Chi Minh City? So apparently they're trying to like unify more of the Eastern Bloc and everything like that. So what is y'all's take on that? And should that be something that the U.S. should be concerned about? And also, do you think that Vietnam is like one of those countries that has seen growth in its economy and everything like that ever since that war that took several years?
Well, I have a few comments that
Really?
China is definitely an economic power these days. All these tariffs wars that Trump is doing now could have been or should have been done 10, maybe even better, 20 years ago, but it hasn't been done. And China today is a very different country. And I think US is taking incredible risk trying to bring China to its knees. I don't think it will work. And even this funny thing when at the end of last week, Trump said that he had communications with Xi, and China denied it. And then White House commented that, yeah, he had communications, but he didn't say that it was recently. It was back a few months ago, probably. So this is a very cute lying against from the Trump and White House, but it doesn't help really much to the situation because a lot of companies they have to order now for a Christmas inventory, and right now with these prices, with the tariffs in, nobody can order anything. So they're delaying orders, they're canceling orders. They will have empty shelves because what Trump wants to bring the toy production to the United States. These toys will be costing hundreds of dollars each because the U.S. is not equipped to manufacturing toys. It's a completely different process. So I don't understand what Trump is trying to achieve. He's bringing not China. He's bringing America to its knees, unfortunately.
Yeah. What's your take on that, Jadovi?
I mean, I agree with Sasha. I mean, it's idiotic. The things that people bought into. Oh, we're going to bring all manufacturing to the U.S. It's not happening. It's not a reality. It's never been a reality. I mean, automation is there, so you're going to give the individuals now. It's going to come back, and it's going to first. It takes at least 3 to 5 years to build a small factory. But now you're talking about these major factories. So now you're looking at 5 to 10 years. And then if you're talking about production, if you look at the actual production that goes on, it doesn't stay produced in one location. It goes from, you get parts from different areas. It just doesn't work that way. We don't have the infrastructure for it. We have manufacturing jobs that are unfilled at this moment. And we're expected to, as Sasha correctly points out, bring toys back to here and people are going to go and sew up some toys. That's not happening. It's just not. It's not a reality. But hey, that's what they voted for. That's what they thought was going to happen. I'm going to get me a good job. Yeah, sewing shoes. Yeah, okay, you'll get you a good job.
Get that good job that you.
By the way, Mark, the
And
measles
every
cases. I just saw an
like that.
article
Let's
that
get
there are
stuff to
900 measles cases now, going across 10 states.
there.
Oh, Mark, you bring it up.
Not getting and all. I'm sorry, the computer was breaking up a little bit. What did you say again?
Oh, you were breaking up. I couldn't. I could barely hear what you were saying.
No, I said you were breaking up. I could barely hear what you were saying. What were you saying?
Oh! I was just talking about the measles cases that are out there. That there are 900 measles cases now.
And that's around the country.
Yep, 900 across 10 states.
Wow. So that's only 10 states. So that means we still got 40 more states to go. So what qualifies for a pandemic? I'm not even sure of that. But I know you said earlier that we might be heading toward a
So
pandemic, and I would agree with you. But
it would be an epidemic and not a pandemic. A pandemic crosses country lines. An epidemic stays within a country. So yeah, I'm not sure what the level is for an epidemic, but yeah, it's growing.
it's growing and just growing at some ridiculous rates and all along those lines. So we've got people that are thinking of these things in all of that kind of way. What is our take on what's going on in Israel as well? That was the other part that we didn't get to, and I did see that there was a protest. I think it was in New York where a woman was mistakenly accosted because they thought that she was one of the protesters, but she wasn't one of the protesters, and all along those lines. And I can draw up some of those details of what happened in that particular incident. But what is our take on what's going on in Israel? And where will that be in terms of ceasefire talks and in terms of Trump's legacy there as well? So, are we going to see any sort of peace in Israel anytime soon?
Nope. The ceasefire is done. They that was nixed, I think, a month ago or something, because Trump hadn't even talked about it because he was part of that nixing of that ceasefire. So yeah, the ceasefire is done. It's been gone.
So that's done and everything like that. So we'll see where that goes and everything like that. I know that the other thing that was going on just really quickly. Do you have any ideas, either one of you, as to who that should be the next pick for the Pope? Because the conclave, the pick'em will start next week, so they will have all these, I guess, bishops over there meeting and trying to determine who will be the next Pope. But which direction do you think they'll go? Because I think this last Pope was seen as a moderate to liberal Pope, and I think the one before him was seen as a conservative Pope. So you think they're going to swing back the other way, or they'll go in the middle, or which way do you think they'll go in selecting the next Pope?
Well, I think it's a very complicated process, very unpredictable. I really don't see much difference in who is becoming a new pope, and I don't think it will affect our lives anyway, one way or another.
Yep, I mean, I guess it impacts just those that are practicing the Catholic faith, and I agree with you. There are a lot of other people it won't impact them, even though the Pope is sometimes seen as a world leader, as one that makes statements on different things. I know he wasn't too pleased with the Trump administration and his handling of immigrants, the one that just passed away and everything like that. But how much impact he has, that's always a interesting question, no matter who the Pope is and everything like that. Hey, Sasha, I know one thing you talk about a lot, and I did see an article on it, is that apparently Ukraine is building a 9-mile wide wall of drones. So the ViraRay founder compares the accuracy of Ukrainian and Russian fiber optic drones and everything like that. So I just wondering, because I know both you and Ivan have talked about the nature of these drones. So how successful have these drones been in their attack, and do you expect that this will be a growing trend in warfare in general?
Well, I think this is a new, a modern type of war where drones are uh, being being developed actually during the war a lot. And today, Ukraine has a lot of very sophisticated long range drones. It has drones with electric engines, which makes them relatively very quiet and very difficult to locate. And they're using that very effectively. Russia is mostly relying on Iranian drones, or they now started to produce their own drones, which are way behind in capacities to compared to Ukrainian drones. So this is something new, that Western countries are really they're watching these developments and will try to uh, get from Ukrainians some of its technology achievements, making maybe joint venture with Ukrainians, etc.
Yep, that's definitely going on and everything like that. How safe do you think that, and this is for both of you, because this is the incident I was talking about, because apparently protests against Israeli officials heated up outside a synagogue in Brooklyn, and then a pro Israeli mob harassed women in New York with death to Arab chants and everything like that. So I was just wondering, how safe do you think people that are of Jewish and Arab descent should feel in other countries, no matter what they're going through as this war continues in Israel and around the Arab theater and everything? Because apparently there's two separate incidences, ironically, that both took place in New York and everything like that. So I was just wondering, how safe do you think people should feel in outside countries that are part of the conflict, not just the Israeli one, but also the Ukrainian Russian conflict as well?
Well, Jews and Muslims should not feel free wherever they are. There is always a danger of some kind of attacks or demonstrations or just almost anything. So they have to be overly careful and be very mindful where they are, what are the dangers waiting of them. So there's awareness of what's happening in today's world.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just curious, because I know one of your favorite places to go, Sasha, is Aruba, and I've got friends that are from different parts of the Caribbean, the Virgin Islands, and one of the stories that I mentioned before y'all joined me was a popular author. I forget which country she was from, but I can find that really quick and everything. But she was killed on her houseboat and everything. So, how concerned should people be? Not so much if they're staying on the islands, but if they're traveling around the ocean around piracy and everything like that. Because I even know a friend of mine's significant other, I think they lost two of their kids to piracy. And that was, I think one was before the pandemic and the other might have been during the pandemic. But how concerned do you think people should be? Because I think that people think of that as a fantasy, like something that's only in Hollywood, but there are real pirates out there that are real threats and everything like that. So how how concerned should people be about that, and what precautions do you think people can take to protect themselves against pirates?
Well, travel is these days is quite dangerous enterprise because right now I just got a message. My granddaughter, she's traveling in Portugal, and just in the last half an hour, maybe or more, all Portugal or Spain and part of France have been completely they completely lost
Power.
electricity. There's no electricity in this part of the both Spain, Portugal, and part of probably south part of France. So when there is no electricity, the restaurants are closed. A lot of conveniences that you normally take it for granted, they're no longer available. Okay, supposedly it's a Russian hacker's job, but it doesn't make situation any easier for those people who are object to that,
Yeah, that
unfortunately.
makes sense. Dr. Sharif, got about another 10 minutes and we'll have the economic show shortly. But what's going on in your neck of the woods over there in Malaysia and Bangladesh and stuff like that? So, how are things going in your neck of the woods? We've been talking about what's going on in the world, but we'll see what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, thank you. Right now, if you see the South Asian countries like India, Pakistan, they have a tension in between India and Pakistan because of this Kashmir issue. Uh, so this is one of the things. On the other hand, in Bangladesh, near Myanmar, in Chittagong area, there is a tensions because of this war and all of the internal conflict in Myanmar. So what I see in Bangladesh or in India and Pakistan or in Middle East or in this Russia and Ukraine, we have a tension everywhere. And beside that, when Trump taking many economic decisions, especially for tariff and all of the things, the market has unstable condition, especially the economic things and financial things. So I believe that we need to take some extra precautions to uh, stay in South Asia. And beside that, for this economical challenge and all of the things, we need to make a better policy, how we can handle the Trump strategy and all of the things. So this is challenging moment. Definitely, this is challenging moment. And beside that, this climate change reals, and we have heat wave right now in Dhaka. Uh, so I think this is also challenging for the local communities. But from our World Talent Economic Forums, we are trying to develop a sustainable, livable cities. Hopefully, we can make a positive change in our society. Thank you.
Yeah, no, no problem at all. That makes a lot of sense, and I didn't know that that conflict was going on and everything like that as far as Kashmir and in that space. Just to, oh wow, I just saw that apparently they're worrying about another situation coming from Mexico, and it's not people. So U.S. is urging New Mexico to stop the screwworm parasite from crossing the border. So how can you restrict a parasite from coming across the border? So they're saying U.S. can restrict Mexican livestock imports over the screwworm worry, according to officials in Reuters, and USDA is threatening Mexico's beef oil imports over the fear of this flesh-eating parasite spreading northwest. So, what is our take on this idea of us? I guess we're going to try to control the regulatory items coming from other countries, and apparently this is because of a specific parasite that's coming across the with the food and everything. So, what is anybody's take on that? You got any ideas on whether they're going to actually? Because USDA is one of those agencies that also has been kind of gutted to some degree as well.
As I said, this administration is a dumpster fire. We are less safe in every way. How are we going to restrict something when we don't have anybody in the actual department to restrict things? How? We cut everybody from there. Thank you, Doge. Thank you, Trump. We cut everybody from. We put RFK as head of HHS. So we got measles, we got tuberculosis, we got everything going on. We are less safe now than we were just 3 months ago. This administration is a dumpster fire. It's just more proof.
More proof because they're going to try to regulate a bug come across the last time I checked. It's hard to regulate bugs, so it ought to be real interesting how they're going to do this. And even to that point, what you just said, I'm wondering about some of the local agencies as well, because there was a incident in Florida where one person died and several others were injured after a boat shattered the whole back of a ferry and fled the scene in Florida. It's kind of like similar to what I think happened in Baltimore, as there was a bridge collapsing in that area, and this was near a bridge as well. But I'm thinking that some of those agencies that regulate boats and regulate the bridges are also less manned as well. So would you agree with that, Sophie, that that's probably part of the problem, is that there are less people to regulate some of these things that are happening because there's nobody in the office to take care of it?
Didn't we gut a lot of the Department of Transportation?
Yes, so I think we did get a lot of Department of Transportation and the what's the department that's over bridge maintenance. I think we gutted a lot of that too.
Yeah. So what do we expect? I mean, seriously, what are we expecting? Are we expecting this man to do any good? He bankrupted a casino multiple times. What are we expecting here?
And lately, just as a aside, just because, sometimes watching reruns is fun and all along those lines. And I've been watching a very popular TV show, at least it was popular when it came out, called Las Vegas. And it definitely had, because there was an episode with Wayne Newton and others that I saw and everything like that. And from what I saw on that show, it's kind of hard to bankrupt a casino. They got massive security. They got all kinds of operations that kind of keep you from bankrupting it, and they try to keep the money in the casino and try to keep the house winning at all times. But Sasha, you have spent some time, not a lot of time, but definitely some time in casinos, because you even talked about it on this show and everything. I've not spent a lot of time there, but I did enjoy the TV show. How do you manage to bankrupt a casino?
Well, if you are in charge of your security operations and you can disable it for, say, half an hour, and you send people to clean up all the cages and tables of cash, and you do it constantly, several times a week, then that's a way to bankrupt casino, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense, but yeah, most casinos don't want to do that. But maybe that's what Trump wanted to do, and he did a good job of it, and all along those lines. But that's just crazy to me. I'm going like, how you
I
gonna?
mean, he's a pro at bankrupting casinos. He didn't do it once. He didn't do it twice. He
Well,
didn't do
he's
it three
more
times.
experienced at doing that, so he was getting better and better and better. You can put him in charge of a casino. Now he will bankrupt it in a matter of 2-3 weeks. Easily.
Exactly.
He'll just bankrupt it quickly, and now he's trying to bankrupt the United States apparently. So he's doing a good job of that as well. So uh,
Oh yeah.
I did hear some talk that even among the Republicans, there is some talk that some people may even be trying to put in some impeachment guardrails. So do we think that this is going to happen the way it's had to put it in with him for 4 years, or is he going to do so much craziness that there will be efforts even in his own party to impeach him, or we just got to put up with it for 4 years? What's y'all's
his,
take on that?
his party won't stand up or do anything against him. The Republican Party has bent the knee. Lisa Murkowski gave away all the information as to why, because they're scared. So the Republican Party will not do anything. If the Democrat Party gets into play, they may try and do an impeachment. But again, right now, we're stuck for 2 years, at least 2 years, with this administration, and he's already using the Department of Justice to go at the DOJ to go after Democrat fundraising opportunities. In terms of, they're going after the online fundraising right now, which is been done for decades. But no, now he's going to go after the Democrat Party to their fundraising apparatus. They've already gone after those individuals that the lawyers that deal with the Democratic Party. So it's just ridiculous right now, and it's very obvious of what is going on. But again, his party won't do anything. His fans won't do anything.
They're just going to let it go.
The polling actually is showing that independents dislike what he's doing, and that's a good thing. But that's not going to change anything because, again, as Sasha pointed out, he doesn't have to run again. He can do whatever he wants to. The Republican Party's bending the knee. Lisa Murkowski told you they're scared of him.
They're just scared of him altogether and everything like that. That's just crazy and everything. What is his perception in Bangladesh and everything? So what is the perception of Trump in the Asian theater from what you're seeing, Sharif?
I think this is actually mixed. In some point, I want to support Trump because if he can stop this Ukraine and Russia war, I do not know he can manage these things. On the other hand, if you see how he set the tariff and all of the things, maybe Bangladesh is a very small country, but in some point they will get benefit because Trump heavily imposed tariff in China. So already many investment team they come to Bangladesh because if they produce their uh, things in China, it will be very costly. But how I see this U.S. and China relationship is very unstable. It's like a trade war. And third point, let's say the immigration issues. I think that uh, Trump and the university authorities in USA they are trying to solve these complex problems because Trump do not want many international students to come to USA or he already revoked many students admission and visa, but maybe it will be solved. And final things like a country like Bangladesh, honestly speaking, it's not very advanced. It's like a traditional economy, even not like Singapore. It's a very traditional economy. So when this kind of economic recessions on trade war or it happen, in somehow Bangladeshi people or local community, they can manage the economy with their own way, like microfinance institution, like grassroots level initiative. uh, so that is the way we our community is surviving. There is no much involvement with this global politics and global economical involvement in our country.
Yeah. Well,
Real
on that
quick thing on the visas, um, because the Trump administration evidently stopped pulling the student visas, but now ICE is trying to figure out a way to permanently remove visas. So that's what's going on with visas,
Okay.
right?
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Which
No,
is
I understand.
silly.
I understand. Yeah.
I mean,
No, I understand. But I don't know, like how I see the education industries, U.S. education industry, because last 15 years I'm observing the Western education system. I think they have a strong engagement with Asia Pacific market, like the Chinese student, Indian student in Canada and in USA. They are major uh, source of fund. So I do not know, like if they revoke too much of students, is it possible the universities and they survive in USA, or what will happen? What do you think?
I think there's going to be a big problem, and there's going to be a push to get students like. In all honesty, Harvard does a good job because what they try and do is they try and get a lot of the students that aren't, um, your typical students. So you've got your inner city kids that are coming through. Um, they're giving STEM, or they're if you're under what is it, $60,000 is how you can afford free college for like Harvard and some of the other institutions. And I think that's where the play is going to be. However, I don't think that that is going to be enough to, recoup the costs of losing the international students. Also, one of the big things with the US is that our market is not a production market anymore. Our market is a service industry. We don't really make things. We service things now. And that's where a lot of the international students came into play. I mean, from students from Bangladesh and so on and so forth. I mean, you got the students from these areas created things with innovation wise. But the kids in the U.S. currently, a lot of them are going into the service field because yeah, we're a service market. That's where the money is made. Hey, we can go to the stock market and service stocks, so on and so forth. We can deal with banking. We can deal with job finding, or so we're not producing the AI robots of these years. We're not honestly in terms of creating video games. We're barely even creating video games as much as we used to. That is more of an international thing. There are a lot of the games that are there, but I mean, it would be nice to get back to a production because that's what made the U.S. That's what put US in its golden years was the creation of a lot of the things, the innovations and all the ideas that the IPs that people are saying that we're stealing, or that we're getting stolen by China. For example, I brought up like Tesla. Tesla was a great innovative thinking forward thing. Yeah, it ended up where Elon Musk bought Tesla. He didn't create Tesla. People keep trying to. I don't understand the idea that Elon is this genius. He's not. He didn't create any of these things. The one thing that he created at Tesla is being recalled and sitting on lots because nobody really wants them. That's the Cybertruck. So Tesla was actually an innovative company that he ended up buying. When he bought the company, they were they were in a market by themselves and dominating that market. It was a great thing. The technology that they created around Tesla, that was what the US used to be. But now once Elon fell into the trap, Tesla's not really producing these innovative things. You have companies like BYD that's putting out stuff. BYD is a great company, and that's coming out of China, but they are producing for example, a minivan. Right now, the U.S. minivan, the only minivan the U.S. makes right now is the Chrysler Pacifica. It is the number one minivan on the market. It beats out the Honda Odyssey and the Toyota Sienna. But the Honda Odyssey is still a nice minivan. But no, the Chrysler Pacifica is cheap. It actually has some innovative things on the inside of it. But it is the furthest it goes is a hybrid vehicle. Well, BYD created one. They've taken what they've done in the car market and actually used that same technology and placed it in their minivan situation. And their minivan it's a very nice car. It actually does some great things. But then you also have some other makers that are out there, like Ford with the Mustang. When they changed the Mustang from the old idea to the new idea, that was an innovative thing, but it didn't take off in the U.S. market as much as it should have, because everybody still had the idea of the muscle car, and it wasn't this. It was this new thing. So it was a new. It's just we got to get back to the idea and production. That's where we need to be.
Yeah, but we'll have to talk about that, and we'll get economic going on with David on the other side. So if you join us over there, he's talking about Doge and stuff like that. But we'll continue this conversation possibly over there. We'll just end the link over in the chat.
All right, I'll see you there.